Hey, this is Ian.
This is Sam.
We're here to talk about the psychology behind professional development. Today's topic du jour is going to be there is no balance. Now, before we get to all of that stuff, this is going to be our last episode of the season. I want to thank everybody who's listening, either from the first episode or this episode or anywhere in between. Thank you so much for supporting us and listening to us just ramble on about stuff. And maybe within those conversations, maybe you might have taken a seed of education and planted it somewhere and it's grown and maybe it's helped you grow a little bit. And we definitely appreciate everybody who's supported us and listened to us for the first season and 24 episodes. And without you guys, we're not really here. So thank you all for listening and taking time out of your day to do so. And on that note, as we wrap up the season, this topic, we had actually another one planned. And we had this conversation kind of offline, and we kind of got to thinking about, this is kind of something that may pique some interest, and it has a lot of levels to it, and it kind of, we think, resonates a little bit more. So that's why we're going to this whole topic of there is no balance,
Which is
yeah.
which is so
Sam,
contradicting.
take it away.
Just so contradicting to our podcast name, right?
Yes.
And we will be modifying the name a little bit in the next season. But a balanced career, and and on the very last episode of season 1, we're coming to you and saying like, well, hey, there is no balance.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sorry,
And I think
folks.
we'll extrapolate more on that in this episode. But I love the contradiction in our name of the podcast to ending our season with like, yeah.
Well, we're workshopping it, but I think and again, when the conversation was offline and we were talking about certain components of it in terms of what balance looks like. And then one of the images that I came up with conversations with my better half was the viewpoint of like the laws of liberty, Lady Liberty. Right. When you have the two, and based upon law, when you have, like truth and consequences or actions and consequences, it's never really the same. Right. And it's always like a tipping point somewhere. And I think that's just with two components, right? In life, there's more than two components that you're trying to balance, right? You've got your work, you've got personal, you've got emotional, you've got, pets, you've got physical relationships, and it goes on and on. So the question of how can you really balance it? And I don't know if you really can balance it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where, like, I've seen so many articles, even like from well-known creators saying like there's no such thing as balance.
Yeah.
Right. And the tagline for my business is work-life balance. Right. And the website's name is Balanced at Last. Right. And our podcast name is A Balanced Career. Right. All these things come from because my understanding of balance differs from the notion of justice, right? Good, bad.
Right.
Because in my mind, and those of you that has seen the logo at the bottom right hand side, it's of like an atomic symbol, right? It's interconnected, it's twisted, it's everywhere, but once it has balanced, it can operate efficiently. Right. And again, I haven't taken any science classes since college, so excuse my interpretation and recall. Right. If
Great.
I'm wrong, please go ahead and let us know in the comments.
These science majors out there.
Yes. The symbol is of an atom, and it gives up charges and takes on charges depending on the context and the environment, right? And this is where balance exists. And we'll talk a bit more about what is balance, right? What is the trap we often fall into?
Right.
And what are some ways to navigate through this process during this episode? Right. Ian, you mentioned like, this was an off camera conversation about, balance. It doesn't make sense. There is no balance. And I disagreed wholeheartedly. I'm like, no, there is balance. And we'll define it as we go along. And it's not as complicated and it's not as simple as we're led to believe.
Well, that's a good starting. That's a good jump off point there. That's for sure.
So, Ian, what is
So,
balance to you? Whenever you're thinking about like work-life
well,
balance, what's that? What is that?
I think how I imagine it is where you have like a certain amount of energy for work, and a certain amount of energy for life, and so there's sometimes where you put more into one than the other.
Yeah.
And then when you recognize that you have more in one area than the other, then you try to balance it. So you try to take away less energy from one area and put it towards the other to
Yeah.
therefore make it a little more acceptable
Mm,
in both situations. So if work is overwhelming and alpha work is overwhelming, okay, so you have to say, well, this is not good. I'm off balance. I'm not grounded. Okay, what's going to ground me? What's going to make a little more balance? So maybe I end work at 5 o'clock.
right.
I leave. That's my boundary. I leave at 5 o'clock. I come home and I'll watch TV for like an hour, and I'll slowly kind of bring this. They'll shift a little bit. Be like, so the energy. So my energy is now at home, and it's gonna lift the scale, tip the scale a little bit in life's favor,
Yeah.
and bring it down a little bit from work's favor.
Mhm.
You know. So it's just recognizing again what conflicts there are in one area, try to
Yeah.
resolve them so it makes you have less energy in there and put it into something else to kind
Right.
of again balance it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how that is,
Right.
but again, it's an ongoing situation. It's never a achieved thing. It's a process. It's a constant process.
Yeah. And which is frustrating. Which is frustrating because, we talked about the justice part where you look at a scale, she's holding a scale and it's weighed one way or another, and you're
Right,
always trying to fine tune, right? Personal,
right,
professional. And you're trying to get it as close to the middle as possible, as close to balance as possible. And a gust of wind, a feather can
yeah,
really just keep you off balance.
right.
Right. And this is where I think most of the people that think about balance, that's what the definition comes from. It's like,
Linear.
it,
It's a linear definition actually.
yeah, it's 50-50. We're always
Right.
striving towards 50-50. I give to work and I give to my family and they give back and so on, right? And I think this is where the misconception comes. And this is where impossible tasks and expectations are built, you know? Because when I named my business Work-Life Balance, right? I separated work dash life. But when we look at it from scale, it really operates in a rigid structure
Correct.
because we haven't calculated all the components, psychological components, relational components, financial components, and so on that's in the work side. And we haven't calculated all the components of life.
There's a lot of them.
So many of them,
That's
right?
right.
Different roles, different. So when we look at it, it's impossible to stay in balance between the two.
Because but it's being defined as two, right? That's the thing is there's so many more than two, and I think that's where maybe the analogy is a little off in terms of the blind, the blind lady of
Lady
justice,
Liberty or
right? But the blind lady of justice again because you can't see and because she doesn't know which is weighing down the scale. But to that, that's might be a bad analogy again because there's two things. The
right.
reality is there's way more than two things that are you're trying to
Absolutely,
balance.
absolutely. And even in the world of justice, right? We're
Yeah.
finding over and over situations where systemic racism and things like that impact how it's weighed, how it's
Right.
tipped, right?
Absolutely.
But that's not when people think about balance, it really goes back to the scale of, are we, two things, are they happening
Right.
in equality,
Right.
right? And so the thing that I really want people to recognize is the balance is fluid, right? It's about give and take
Okay.
towards the energy that you mentioned previously, right? Sometimes our work will be exhausting, sometimes our life will be exhausting, and sometimes our and that energy changes on a regular basis. Sometimes it's stable, right? Sometimes both of the energy is draining,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes both are recharging, but those are sometimes, right? And for example, if a person comes in with depressive thoughts and mannerisms, the bar is changed versus somebody that is of anxious mind, bar is changed.
Yeah.
right? And depending on if somebody is going through grief, somebody is going through health challenges, whatever challenges, or somebody is celebrating their 30th, 40th, 50th milestone birthdays, right? All these components, these are contextual components that layer into work and life, but you can't really say, how do you balance all that?
More like how you deal with it.
Yeah.
I think I think balance becomes an end game
Hmm.
versus the ongoing process of trying to achieve it. Because I don't think, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. There is no way to achieve balance.
I,
I don't know.
I will agree and disagree.
Okay.
I think achieving the word achieving is mislabeled here
Okay.
because it says it's a destination,
Right. Correct.
right? And it's something that once you get balanced, you're done. You're good.
Yeah,
Your life is balanced from then on,
that's right.
right? And this is where misconception really stays because we want it to be static. We want it to be foundationally strong. That yep, I got everything figured out, right? And sadly, with all the context of life and work and our personal things and our relational things and COVID or whatever global
Yeah.
events that happen, but there's so much with that's outside of our control. We try to get back and crave that stability. And this is where I agree and disagree with there is balance
Yeah.
and balance and achieving balance. I think to your point, right, we're always in the process of balancing.
So I wonder if it makes more sense to say stability, but like work life stability instead of work life balance.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
You
Yeah,
know,
stability that we're seeking.
yeah,
Yeah, right. What does that stability look like?
equally probably the same as what does balance look like, right? I mean, if it's all subjective, then my stability may not be your stability. Same thing with the balance perspective. Maybe it's not going to be the same. Maybe it takes more to be stable in one component versus the other component. So you put more energy in the other component that needs more stability.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And this is where like, we were mentioning like it's complex
Yeah.
at the same time it's simple, but we need to break away from the rigidity of what it is, right? And this is where like the symbol of my company is a atomic symbol because to what I understand and understood, right, when I
Yep.
created it, it is just an element and it is ever changing depending on its environment.
So to rethink the process, so to rethink the balance as ongoing.
Ongoing, ever
Yeah.
changing.
Right.
And I know change is hard for so many of us. So many of us. Yeah. The resistance come
Yeah.
up.
It's terrible. Terrible. It's
Yes,
really bad. Yeah. Yeah. There's sometimes, yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
it is because our mind, our brain craves predictability. If I can predict it, then I can control it. If it's not predictable, I have no control. And that's a hard
Yeah. Yeah.
I out loud because yes, it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
It is. And also it depends on, the day of the week, what you believe is balance in one situation on one day is going to be totally different definition the next day.
Right.
Maybe you just feel like right now, today, at this moment,
Hmm.
tired. And I think that, the balance to be tired is I gave energy in a certain area and now I'm catching up by sleeping or something along those lines,
And
and tomorrow
listen
it could be
to your
different.
environment, to your body, to
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Exactly.
then then I'm gonna add another layer to it. There's healthy recovery and then
Yeah.
there's destructive recovery, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, healthy recovery might be taking a nap and sleeping and eating right and so on.
Yeah.
Right? Destructive might be, I'm tired. Let me go ahead and binge on, let's say, energy drinks, binge on Netflix, binge on
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, right? And I feel like I am balancing the recovery part of me being tired by putting in more stimulant, like energy drink, right? Or more mental distraction, like I'm saying Netflix, but streaming services or
Sure.
scrolling, whatever
Absolutely.
that looks like, right? Those can be destructive. I'm not saying, and again, I will phrase this, the binging part is what's the challenge. whatever it is, overdoing it in the hope of it will help me recover.
I think you could probably do a binge of a social streaming or a streaming service on occasion.
Yeah.
I would say that and that could be healthy depending on maybe what you watch, or maybe it serves the purpose of just shutting your brain down. I think to your point is if you overdo it, if it's a daily thing,
Yeah.
then it's a habitual
Right.
situation where now that becomes a whole new beast you have to kind of conquer. Like, okay, now it looks like I'm binging on a daily basis of this show or this type of genre, which is, to your point, destructive because it's not helping me at all. It's just making me feel worse and maybe like a downward spiral.
It absolutely feels like it's helping.
Right.
If you're tired and you have an energy drink, it will give you energy.
Oh man.
It will, right? But the cost of it working versus cost of you taking an hour nap
Yeah.
in a long term, it's going to be hurting you if you keep, you're tired, let me get an energy drink. You're tired, let me drink coffee and just keep, how do I say it? Overburdening your systems where
Yeah.
it can become destructive. And the reason for the atomic symbol on my logo is because, yeah, scientists have continued to say, like, oh, let's put in a lot more other element in this small atom, see
Right.
what happens, right? And we've seen the destructive element of what can happen when it's compressed and compressed and compressed.
Or if you split it, if you split the atom, then bad things happen as well.
Yeah.
So it's the, to the constant giving and taking. It's I guess determining that as well as to when that happens. And of course, every situation is different. Every person is different. So I don't think there's a outline that you need to follow to be like, you follow this and then everything's going to be right.
No. And this is where I really want us to go towards as we're trying to figure out what balance looks like. It's a process and it's an ongoing process, right?
Yeah.
And that could be the same thing if we replace balance with stability, right? It's an ongoing process to find and determine stability. Of course, there are foundational things you can do where the stability is attainable faster, right? The balance is attainable faster. And we have to shift our mind to say giving 50%, 8 hours here for work and 8 hours to family isn't the same thing.
That's right.
Giving X energy and X energy to work and family is the same thing because it is so much more.
It is.
And we talked about it in an activity we had people do, if you've done it, the wheel of life, right? Because it's a circle. It has several different components to it. And it allows the components to say, like, this element of my life needs attention. This is getting way too much attention.
Right.
Right. And it's a constant challenge of refocusing our energy to recognize who and what and where and when we need to reshift so we can continue to create balance.
And I think that kind of goes to shameless plug, needing a coach, because I think that a lot of times, you fall into one of Newton's law of a movable force, movable object kind of thing, or you won't know until you get challenged with something or another, like a fresh set of eyes is on the situation. And I think a coach or somebody can help with that, determine what needs to, what they recommend, or just talking out about what they think should be stabilized, what they think, should be balanced, or readjusting the mindset of what balance or stability looks like.
Yeah.
Because you may not get it on your own. There's a very good chance you may not get it on your own unless.
This episode is sponsored by Balanced at Last, my coaching services. That's balancedatlast.com. If you are curious about how I can help you, please schedule a free consultation call, a 20-minute call to assess your challenges and ways my services can help you. Mention you are a podcast listener and receive 20% off your coaching services. Offer valid for a limited time. Visit balancedatlast.com or scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description below. Thank you for listening. Really hard to get at it on your own when you've been creating a different world,
Yeah.
when you've been operating in a different world because it's hard to see what other possibilities are out there. So,
Absolutely.
example, right? I think the most important part of human experience is mental health, physical health.
Mm,
I put mental health first because that's
right.
the world I grew up in. And I think once you are happy, satisfied, and recognize how to regulate your emotions and your thought process, right? The physical health will happen,
Right.
right? And you can create that. Same thing goes for when we're thinking about balancing it out. We often neglect might be a strong word. We often don't recognize our hidden patterns and challenges along
Yeah.
with our hidden strengths. And I'll give you an example of a hidden strength. Whenever you're thinking like, well, I thought everybody knew that.
Mm,
I thought everyone could do that because it comes so easily for that person.
that's right. Yeah.
That is a hidden strength, right? And when we are talking about creating balance, we're talking about recognizing the hidden strengths and also the hidden challenges where I didn't know that. Nobody's told me. I'll give you an example. For me, I had no idea like reflective work was a hidden strength,
Mm,
right?
gotcha. Yeah.
Because I love listening to people and I love reflecting back and I love asking questions so an individual can recognize their full potential. I thought everybody did this.
Right.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? You don't do this? Right? Because that was my hidden strength that
Right.
I came to almost quote unquote naturally because I just gravitated towards it. Then the other parts of me were the hidden challenges, organization.
Yeah. Yeah. There is nothing that really that just I am is horrible. I'm horrible.
Yes.
Horrible of
Yes.
organization. Terrible.
My gosh. Me,
Terrible.
me too. We've talked about this the entire
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible.
terrible, right? At the same time, I know when somebody says do this and blocks and all these other
Hmm.
things, right? Going through, I don't know, 100, maybe 1,000 hours of training on how to be more effective, productive, and organized, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It does not work for me, but I have been able to build systems based on my strengths.
Right. Which is a skill
Yes.
that many people don't have
Don't recognize.
or recognize too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when I'm looking at executives too, when I'm looking at resumes, right? I'm like, okay, so what comes easy to you? That's one of my first questions. What comes easy to you?
Right.
And people, nothing comes easy. No, that's not true. What comes so easy that you don't even think about it? It's easy, right?
Yeah,
It's,
and that's
yeah.
tough to do. And sometimes for people, myself included, sometimes trying to find recognizing your strengths is a challenge. Recognizing
Yes.
skills that you're good at are challenges. Recognizing things that you enjoy doing and didn't realize you enjoy doing can be a challenge. And I think sometimes the easy thing to do is saying what you can't do is the easiest thing to recognize first.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, I don't know a certain language. It's like that's the first thing, or cursive. Can't, I'm okay at cursive, but not really. So like,
Yeah.
I just so that kind of, and then maybe in my on occasion the Eeyore sense about what the negative first has to lead, working on how do you do the positive first, or instead of having negative first to then look at the positive, and to work on the positive thinking first is a skill to work on.
It is.
Right. And everything, and a lot of people think have skills that to your point, they don't know that they have
Right.
because maybe they haven't been challenged to look for that skill,
Yeah.
explore that skill,
Yeah.
which goes back to coaches. And I think that why coaches, I think, are vital to help
Yeah.
individuals many things. And that's probably one of the components to look into a coach.
Absolutely. 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 Right. Getting proper support for what you're trying to build is going to help. Right. If I had known this when I was early in my career, I would
Yeah,
have hired coaches left and right, right? But
I can see that.
I needed to go through my learning, my discovery phases, my mistakes, my failures, and so on and so forth. So until I recognize, oh my gosh, there's a therapist that can
Mm,
help me with my negative thoughts and, all these other things. I had no idea.
yeah.
Right? Wait, there's a coach that can help me get to my next career, my next aspiration. I had no idea, right? And we come to these walls because we didn't know. And we didn't, like, for me, I didn't occupy the space to know. And this goes back towards the environment and the context we're in.
Right. Yeah. So if you're looking for and I think to your point about looking for stability, and I think that was probably helping you with trying to find stability in certain areas.
Yeah.
Now you're recognizing it. Okay, well, maybe if this is a certain skill that I have, how does it help me being a little more stable in this area?
Hmm.
And I think that's important as well.
It absolutely is. And this is where, we're talking, I'm checking the time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're talking about finding balance and where there's no such thing as balance.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're talking about if balance is a destination, it briefly exists. You'll find balance and then it will go away.
I just don't think it. I don't think it's sustainable. Actually,
It's not.
it can't. There's no way it can be sustainable.
Right, right. And this is where when you think about balance as a continual process, right? Just like breathing is a
Yeah,
continual process. Once you
yeah,
stop breathing, you're done. Yeah,
it's true.
right. And this is where when we step back a little bit and say life is rich, work is rich, there's so many elements to it, right? We can move forward knowing that we have the hidden strengths to get through life because we always have.
Yeah,
And how can we minimize our hidden challenges, our sabotage behaviors, so we can excel and find balance faster, find stability faster, right? And this, I love this exercise. And you've probably already know what we're going to talk about,
it's
right? You know,
okay.
Ian, when you feel stability shaking, what do you do? Or let me go back one
Mm,
more step,
okay.
right? When do you recognize the stability is off?
I think there's a certain mood I
Mm,
think that I get in, then I think my better half kind of calls me on it
yeah,
and says, "Are you feeling fill in the blank?"
right.
Or something seems off, or what's going on. That means there's something that's kind of a little wonky going on, and that's brought to my attention, and then trying to talk it out. And so I would say that again, probably the mood, easily frustrated. I think probably is the mood.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yourself? What?
For me, that's quiet. I become quiet.
Okay.
Then then people know it's like, okay, we're gonna have, you're gonna have to nudge them. You just have to nudge them. Yeah. But the thing of that is the stability, the balance was off way before the emotion started.
Yeah,
Go, right?
yeah,
And again, it could be a day, it could be, slowly getting off track. And this is where it's so difficult. You don't remember when you went off track.
yeah. Maybe there could be an incident that occurred, or maybe there is something that happened that
Yeah.
triggered it. I mean, it is possible that you can find out, or you can.
You can do retrospective work,
Yes,
reflective work to get back to when you think it started.
right,
Absolutely. Right. Can't confirm it because it has already happened.
right.
Right.
That's right.
A couple of things that we can point to where it's like, oh, that was really easy to figure out. COVID, layoff, right? Those abrupt situations, those
Yeah,
traumatic situations where it really jars us. Those are
yeah,
far and few in between, and hopefully they don't keep happening. But these slow things, it really takes balance work every day.
yeah.
To
Yeah, that makes sense.
just do that 1% we keep talking about throughout the
Yeah,
season, right? That 1%. Am I good or where do I need to shift my energy, shift my attention? Again, I
daily
know
work.
the solution is so simple and
Everything we mentioned is really easy to work on, and we
and
would so lose our audience if customers, we would lose an audience if that is every single time was like, this is easy, this is all you got to do. You wouldn't
yeah,
have it. You wouldn't have a podcast. That'd be it. Pretty much it. Yeah.
I know. It's so easy and it is so hard to do. It's so hard to do.
It
I feel
is.
it constantly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's that active work,
Yeah.
right? In our last episode, we talked about, brainstorming and, analog thinking, or jotting down for 2 to 5 minutes, right? Doing a brain dump of it,
Right.
right? And we've talked about journaling, I don't know, 100 times. in our 20 some episode, right?
Yeah.
All of this goes towards when we're trying to do balance work, it needs to start with recognition of when, and it doesn't have, you don't have to say, like, you know what? It was actually July 3rd, 2025 that things went
Right.
up. You
Yeah.
don't need to know that.
And
Yeah. You just need to know, you know what? It's been a week, it's been a month. It's been, 2 years. I've felt off. And I'm sure within those 2 years, weeks, days, right, you tried something different and it might not have been intentional
mm,
as we like to operate as automatically as possible.
sure.
And this is where that addressing things and reflecting on things daily, weekly makes such a significant impact.
Yeah. That makes sense. And you can work on it.
Yeah.
Then you have time to work on it. I know we talked in previous episode about having the, like you said, analog thinking, about having to go and spend the time. And we've mentioned this a lot about taking the time to yourself and just working on a couple things, working on one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where, I want people to do this on their own and then work with a coach. Because on your own, it's 1% at a time. With a coach, it could be 1%, 5%, 20%, 40%, right? You're making the progress a lot faster.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you're really working with. How do I speed up my recovery? How do I
Yeah.
find balance? How do I find stability? How do I figure all this out so I am happy, satisfied, successful, whatever it is, right? We can do this when we know how to do the 1% at a time. And when we have that third party that is an expert in how people find their hidden talents, their hidden challenges,
Sure.
they can start unveiling, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this. Like every time I help someone find their hidden talents, like, wait, what? No, that
And
can't
they're
be.
better for it. And they're better for it, and that's,
Yeah,
it's a positive ROI when you have someone working with you to kind of get to that skill.
it's
I
true.
find that's
It is. It is. It is. Now, we've been talking about the past, future. Whenever you're thinking about balance, right? And let's say you have so many other responsibilities. How do you balance those things? How do you have that stability during when you're planning for the future?
I don't really think about it sometimes. I think to your point, it's automatic.
Yeah.
You put the one foot ahead of the other one, and you just keep on doing it, and you just find the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how most of us
Yeah.
operate. Because our brain really does not want to use the energy to plan for something, right? Of course, if you are a planner, you have an incredible gift that I do not have,
Seriously. Yeah. That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
It's a gift.
it is a
It's
gift.
a gift. Oh my gosh.
And recognize it's a gift, y'all.
It's an organizer, a planner. I mean, that's a special kind of something there.
It does not come easy to us. We can still do it because we've done it,
Right.
but the cost of doing that is far superior
Sure.
for us.
Oh,
So
sure.
the part that I really want people to take away from this episode is balance is not static. It's not something you achieve, right?
Right.
It is really something that is a continuous process, and there's so many elements that come to it. It's not just work-life balance. It's not, 50-50. It's energy management.
Right.
We talked about this during time management.
Mhm.
Take a listen to that and do reflective work regularly so you recognize when things are off. It's a lot easier to change a tire when you know it's time to change a tire. I only have 1,000 more miles I can go on this,
That's true.
right? Rather than, oh my gosh, it just busted out of nowhere and now I am struggling to get to a place to have my tire changed. Yes.
Mhm.
And take this before we end our season, first season, is when you're thinking about the future, don't plan it out day by day or so. Do it through a seasonal perspective. We know, come September, October, November, fall is coming. You'll see the leaves change if you are in Atlanta or somewhere where
Yeah.
the leaves change, right? Because change is coming and it will continue to be a part of life. And you can plan for the season. I recommend people do that. I think we talked about it in one of our previous
Yeah.
episodes. So y'all, if you haven't tuned in this season with our 20 plus episodes, go ahead and check to a couple of the other episodes that we've done.
Right.
Because when we're talking about balance, it's really combining these so many different 1%. That's going to start making big difference in your life.
It is. It will. And it helps you change your mindset. And I think that kind of is the impetus of changing other things as well. And, I think hopefully one of those seeds of thought comes to fruition when you're thinking about how to change and how to grow. And again, hopefully one of these conversations over the past 24 episodes that we've had will help a little bit with something.
Maybe. I hope so. We hope so.
Yeah, we do. We do for sure.
Come back in October and we'll start it over again.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. If you have any comments in terms of what you would like for us to talk about, please don't hesitate to write down in the comment section. We love feedback and appreciate it. So we can each time we can have something a little bit better and something that you would like to listen to.
Last question. You and I need to appreciate you for giving your time, dedicating yourself, thoughts, and engaging in this conversation over the past year. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you as well. It goes both ways for sure.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Reflecting over the past 24 plus episodes, right? What would you share to our audience as a takeaway for this first season?
I would say with everything that we've talked about, I go back to it constantly. If you don't have one, get a coach. I think, and again, if you think Sim is the bee's knees, which he is, and you think Sim is the way to go for a coach, talk to him about that. If you think Sim is great and I want maybe another perspective of certain things, great, get a coach. I think that's the one takeaway I would say, because personal experience and working, these 24 episodes, someone with experience and someone that is their profession, it is to help someone find things within themselves they haven't seen before, haven't thought before, and to have a fresh set of eyes on your life.
Yeah.
And how that can help you, grow. So I think over the 24 episodes, that is something, that's like to me, the biggest takeaway for sure.
I love that. And thank you for the promotion of it.
Yes.
When we get sponsors, your checks.
Yeah, seriously. That'd be great.
Or yes, season 2, we're going to get sponsored.
That's our goal. One of our goals.
That's right.
What about yourself? What is your biggest takeaway of all the 24 episodes that we've had?
My biggest takeaway is consistency is hard. That is a personal takeaway, because we've scheduled and we've batched some recordings, and then we re-recorded some recordings, and then, all these things. But it is possible because we have not missed a single episode.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. And the reason for this is when we want to invest our time and energy to something that we are curious about, we're interested in, we will figure it out.
Yeah.
That regardless, right? We will figure it out. And when we started this, I said, I would love to just do a full year. And if we can do that, that would be a success.
That's great. Yep.
Right. And that is where we're at right now.
Full year.
You and I, having conversation, right? And sharing it with our listeners every 2 weeks for the past almost year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every 2 weeks, right? Sharing on topics that we're interested in. And this is something like, my takeaway is for my audience, for everyone that's listening, is you have the power to make that one difference today. And you don't have to commit to it for the entire year. Just have to commit for it for today, tomorrow, right? A daily thing. Maybe it'll run for 2 weeks and you will say, you know what? These notebooks really don't work for me.
Yes.
Right? Or maybe you'll say like, you know what? That really helped. Because no matter what, if you are able to have access to a coach, it might speed up your progress. I mean, it most likely will, right?
Yeah.
No matter where you are, but you have the power to also invest in yourself, focusing on improving 1% at a time. Consistency is key. Being consistent is difficult.
That's a few takeaways. But it's all right, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot.
There's lots to take away, though.
I'm a reflective person.
We'll take, well, 3 is good. 3 is good.
Yeah.
Ask for one. But yeah, I think that, I think those are solid takeaways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solid takeaways for
So
sure.
this is our last episode of season 1. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Congrats. We've learned many lessons. And
Yes.
thank you to everyone who's tuned in. I really appreciate you and your engagement.
Yes. Thank you so much. And hope to keep on listening, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep. See you in October.
And take care.
Thank you so much for joining us and being part of the conversation. We hope this episode has given you some insight on your journey to a more balanced and fulfilling career. Please find Beyond the 9 to 5, a balanced career on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe.